Hi friends, it's been a while since I've done a video and I thought that I would just share this with you. I have not pre-planned a lot of this, so I will probably end up doing some editing and fast forwarding just so that you don't have to see my entire thought process with how I do a layout. But I already have this base page started, so I just thought I'd show you. This was inspired by a fellow consultant, Brenda Rose. She does some amazing artwork and we've used two kits here. So I actually think this might only be all from one, but the kit is the birthday party papers that, of course, I don't have with me right now. Oh, look, there they are right beside my desk. Sorry. So it uses the Celebrating You papers, but it also uses the mix-ins, the current mix-ins that are in the catalog for what are we, January to March. So it uses both things. Both of these are actually from the Celebrating You, and this zip strip, which I honestly can't remember where that came from, which pack it came from, because I've stuck it down now. But all I did was I took this layout and I guessed at what the sizes were. So I've actually cut this one, this bigger piece, I believe is 5 inches. I'm just going to measure it off to the side here. Excuse me, it's 5 inches, and then this striped piece is 1.5. And then, like I said, this is a zip strip, so I've just cut it in half. And I had some pictures ready to do a layout, and the pattern that I'm actually wanted to use for those pictures is this one here. So this is Make It From Your Heart 3, and it's pattern number 25. So I thought, oh my goodness, look at this. It's almost identical. These are only 4-inch strips. But everything else is almost the same. This is not a 1/2 inch, this is only 1/4. So it's still very close to this. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to still go ahead with this pattern, and I'm just going to flip these two pieces around. And then I have my pictures all cut and ready to go. So I'm actually working right now on my youngest son's school album. So every year at his school, at the end of the year, they have what they call a fun day. And they do all these really fun activities that the grade 7s plan. So it's totally up to the grade 7s to set up this whole day. And they have all these stations inside and outside of the school. And then the kids go around in their class and they try out all these activities. So it's a lot of fun. The kids love it, and I'm lucky enough that I've been able to go, I think, pretty much every year. And I just help out by taking care of one group of kids. And usually I'm able to see both of my kids throughout the day. So it's a lot of fun. So I also need some 1/2 inch strips for this. So I do have some 1/2 inch strips here. So again, this is the paper. This is from the Celebrating You, I believe. I don't think it's a mix-in. And I'm going to use those for my little border pieces here, like that. And then I found some yellow. So this actually uses the new color Honey Butter, but I don't have an awful lot of honey butter. And the papers that came with the mix-ins, they have a little bit too much white on them. So I wanted more of a subtle background. And then the one that's with the Celebrating You is very birthday, this one. So again, I didn't really want to use that. So I just dug into my stash. And I found another piece of yellow, very similar, and I'm going to use it for my little title area and my journal spot. So again, I haven't cut this. I just did a little bit of pre-planning. And then same with that same paper pack. So sorry, I'll just pull that out and show you. Oops. It's this. Oop, more magical. But it was actually a Bring Back My Pack a while ago. So it's kind of got 2 different colors in it because they redid it and they did it in current colors. So this is the newer colors. So it has canary, and then the original colors, let me see, are over here. It used honey. So the honey is actually the darker color yellow, which I don't, oh, here it is over here. So this is actually honey. So it's much darker. So it's I think too dark. But this one I think looks really good. And then the title came with the compliments that matched it. And I think these are the original ones. I can't even remember, but it had this nice little black title. I missed the first piece. And so anyway, that's about as far as I got with my pre-planning. So I'm gonna go ahead and work away on this, and I will fast forward so that you don't have to watch every little step of it. So because my photos are all going to be butted up against each other, I thought that it would be best to sand the edges so I can reveal that little bit of white to give them a bit of distinction. So next I'm going to start to attach all my photos and the rest of the little pieces of paper. I'm using my T-square ruler from Close to My Heart, which is a new product, and it is fantastic. If it's something that you don't have, you should definitely grab one because they are so handy, and the grid lines on them make life so much easier. To add these little half-inch strips, you see that I just marked them with a pencil. So rather than measuring it out, which should be a fixed dimension, I wanted to measure them or just mark them with the pencil instead. Because what I've found when I've done this before is that my pictures creep a little bit, or they're maybe a little bit shorter. And so it's not always worked out for me when I've put those little pieces down against the photo. So this was the only way to really ensure that I had it exactly the right size. And I'm trimming up my little yellow piece to stick in there. So as I'm putting this piece in, I'm noticing that it's not really lining up properly. So again, sometimes when you're putting your pictures down, and especially when you've sanded the edges, things aren't quite square. So I was just playing around with it a little bit and trying to make sure that I got it lined up. So I honestly don't think it's still completely perfectly at a 90-degree angle, but for the eye, visually, it looks just fine. So now that everything's attached, I can start with my title and my embellishments, but I actually ended up changing my mind on the title. So I had some of these Heidi Swapp Marquee chipboard alphabets in my stash, and I inked them up with the sapphire ink. And then I dug into my wooden shapes and I found the word day. So I inked it up with the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide, and then I found a bunch of chipboard star shapes that are from my stash that have been there for a very long time, and I ended up covering them in some of the pattern papers. So I'm just playing around with the placement of these stars that I have, and I only covered 3 of them, but I do have some other shapes in my stash that I could ink. But I'm just not quite sure that this is working out for me. So I added another star, and I'm like, oh, maybe if I add some more stars, that would be better. But I had this little vellum sayings pad in my stash. So I'm using this cute little Sizzix die, and I'm going to cut out this one, and I'm going to see if that kind of helps. So rather than having a journal area, because I don't really have an awful lot to say about this little day other than it was fun. So I'm just kind of playing around with that. I cut some paper to back it, didn't like that. So now I'm pulling out my enamel dots. Maybe that will help. But in the end, I decide I should just make some more stars. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I did that. So here's one of the chipboard stars. I'm just putting it on a piece of the pattern paper, and then I'm just doing a rough trim around it. And then I'm going to take one of my sanding files. So this is actually from an old Close to My Heart kit, but you can use a sanding block, or you can use kind of anything. And I'm just going around and I'm sanding off the edges. I just like how this gives it a really nice, clean edge that really seems to mold to the chipboard as opposed to just cutting it. It just kind of, I don't know, I feel like it rubs it hard enough to push it into the shape. And so I've done a few more of them, and I'm just going to show you what I have here, and then I'm going to start playing around with how that's going to look on my layout. So now I'm going to start to attach all of the title and the embellishments. I'm just using my liquid adhesive for this and sticking things down. And I decided I wanted to put the year on here. It's in an album, so I don't really need it, but I just think it's kind of fun to add that year on there. I'm getting it nice and straight, and then I'm going to start to attach all of my stars and just complete this layout. So I'm still going back and forth with this little vellum shape. I still don't think it looks right with that darker color under it. I don't think it looked good with the white either. So I'm just kind of trying to decide what to do, and then I think I give up and I moved on. Like, okay, let's just put some of these enamel dots down and then see how I feel about everything after that. And I say dots, but they're actually shaped, these newer ones. So these are little stars because, again, I've used other stars. So let's keep on with that theme. And then again, I just don't know what to do. So I finally give up, and I'm like, you know what? I like it with just the vellum. The color underneath is not working for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down there, and I am all done.